So welcome back. Let's reconvene our council meeting, and we are on item 13. And it's that time of the triennium when we come to the end of it. It always seems like yesterday that we were kicking into it. Here we are 3 years later at the end of it. And, you know, reflecting back, and it was mentioned earlier today about what we've achieved over the last 3 years. And it's also been quite a turbulent past 3 years. You know, it's included, we've had the challenges of a pandemic, we've had several weather events, both dry and wet, numerous government reforms, plus many of the other challenges that we've had to work through together and work through together very well. So I am very proud of the way that we have all worked together over this last 3 years. As a team, we've had some robust debates. We've generally discussed the topic, not the person, and we've respected each other's views. And I thank you all for that. I'm proud of the work that we've achieved over the past 3 years and the decisions that we've made for the betterment of the Manawatu district. And I thank everybody, the whole NDC team, because we are a team. And I sincerely believe that our district is in a good place heading into the next triennium. So going into the next 3 years also looks to be more of that turbulent change, full of ongoing and new challenges, which will require the need for a good team and careful decision making, as well as continuing to speak up loudly to retain local democracy. The voters, of course, will make their decision on Saturday about who will sit around this table next to. And so for most of us here today, it's a wait and see game. And I have to say it's the longest job interview ever. But my best wishes go to all of you. So for two of our team, both Heather and Phil, Councillor G. Taylor and Councillor Marsh, you've made the decision not to restand. So this is your last council meeting, having served 3 and 6 years respectively. I know that, as you know, being an elected member is challenging and rewarding, and it requires a lot of time and commitment. And Heather, you know, as well as being an elected member, you've been the chair for our Community Development Committee for a short time. The outstanding restructure of the Youth Council has been under your watch, so we thank you sincerely for that.
Yep.
To Phil, you chaired our Infrastructure Focus Group. Thank you for that. And you've also been our Governance, Health and Safety Rep, as well as elected members, as being an elected member, and also to your respective community committees that you've served on. So we say thank you for that. So on behalf of our community, we thank you both for your commitment, your teamwork and your dedication. And that's helped shape and influence our district today and into the future. And so we want to wish you all the best for your future endeavours. I'm sure you'll keep an eye on us, and no doubt the odd email or comment will come our way, which is good. But we just sincerely thank you for the time and commitment that you've made to council. I'm going to ask Shane to say a few words, and then we have a presentation to make.
Thank you, Bishop. Just on behalf of staff, councillors, for the way you've worked with us over the last 3 years, the relationship with staff and council is one that is do work with community seed and I know the staff very much, in particular Phil, all the very best. I'm sure we'll bump into each other somewhere along the line, building and districts, small so as New Zealand actually. So we do, all staff wish you all the very best for the future, and thank both you very much for what you've done for the community.
Great. Heather, would you like to come forward, please? Go in front of them, Chris.
Well, we
so
really
you
are
can
in
have
a
a photo taken.
citizenship ceremony, isn't it?
It is a bit like that. Now, Councillor Ford, if you
Guess what could
get you to hang on to these.
Get me out of the way.
No, well, no, you can help with the presentation. Yeah, come on this side. So Heather, this is just a small token of our thanks for the commitment that you've made to council over the past 3 years. You can pop this up on your shelf or on your bedside cabinet or whatever, and remember the time that you had here with Manawatu District. So we wish you all the best.
Thank you. Did you get it?
Awesome.
Thank you.
Shooting these are yours too.
Wow. It really
I'm sure you'll have a
emphasizes
spot
now.
somewhere on the farm for those
Cooking today, isn't she?
and some time to read a book.
Thank you so much. Yeah, how it goes. I don't really know what to say.
Would you like to come? Thanks, Phil. This is also in recognition of 6 years you've served in this council, and we thank you for all the good work that you've done and wish you all the best for the future.
Excellent. Thank you. Michael, sorry, my hands are so cold. There's no heating. in there.
Cost savings. Yeah, cost savings.
Thank you very much.
Oh, we didn't
So,
have to put some, didn't
Right.
I'll just get out of it.
It's interesting. I've got a speech there.
Well, Heather says that she would like you to go first.
Yeah.
so,
Quite apt in the fact that Howard Williamson was the creator of this.
Yes.
And my first job when I first came to Fielding was actually with his son, Dean, at Countrywide Publications. So it's
Yeah.
quite apt and really treated. Thank
And
you very much
hopefully
for that.
you'll remember your time with us.
Indeed. Oh, yeah, I'll never forget. Right, here this is softball pass.
You're more experienced, Phil.
Righto. I'll come around here and then I haven't got my back to everybody. I actually thought we'd be at the lectern today.
Well, you can do if you want.
No.
Are you going to give us a sermon?
Well, no, I did that this morning in the meeting.
Wow.
So tēnā koutou e tēnei ahiahi. Good afternoon all. My name is Philson Marsh, born and raised farming in the Rangitikei. I'm a husband to Catherine, father to Sam, Grayson and Laura, and papa to Max, Flynn, Darcy and Arlo. Tuatahi, ka mihi, ki te araha, te manaki, te tautoko o mai, o toku whānau. Ko toku hoa rangatira a Catherine, mi toko pa harakiki, ko koutu ngā po o toku ao. First, I'd like to acknowledge the love, the strength and continued support of my family. To my wife and family, you are the pillars that hold up my world. My employment journey has taken me from shearing to farming sheep, beef and deer, to national sales manager for Countrywide newspaper, finance manager for PGG Wrightson, AFCO meat worker and business manager and owner. For the last few years, I've been business manager for Tararua College and have recently been appointed to the National Executive of School Business Managers. I wish to acknowledge the college and my colleagues for giving me the flexibility to simultaneously manage both the school and the council demands. I was just looking out at the honours board this morning and just like to recognise Merv Craw. Merv Craw was once one of the instigators for me to be in the position here today. My community service began in governance at the inception of Tomorrow's Schools, chairing 2 school boards, deputising a 3rd. I learnt the key differences between governance and operational management, how to negotiate ministry objectives with staff priorities and the lived realities of our students and whānau, to collaboratively set goals worth pursuing and develop strategic plans whilst meeting the demands of property and finances. I moved into local government 9 years ago when I was elected chairman of the Hamatangi Community Committee. I had practical, commercial and financial experience and a comprehensive knowledge of the needs of the networks of diverse communities across the region. I'd long discovered and enjoyed serving my community, that we weren't all created equal or had a voice. I learnt not to use the word I, but the word we. Hamatangi was one of the first community committees to develop a community strategic plan with Bothamiskel. As chairman and with a strong delegation of support, I presented my first submission to council seeking funding for significant projects. And I can well remember Barbara Cameron sitting here and certainly putting me through the paces and challenged me to validate every dollar and every point that I presented. And I don't mind admitting it, I was very nervous. We had one shot at success, and at that time, Hamatangi was not on anybody's radar as a significant community and tourist attraction that it is. The submission was successful and funding was made available. This was my first foray into the presence of a full council meeting. Fast forward to 2016 and Councillor Quarry suggested I stand for the Southern Ward. Hope you don't regret that, Andrew. I stood and was duly elected, and my first council meeting was on the 25th of October 2016. Now at that meeting, there were 25 council employees at that meeting, only 5 of which remain today. Shane, Hamish, Janine, Francis and Wiramu. I've thoroughly enjoyed working with you all and wish you all well into the future. I particularly wish to highlight Janine's knowledge and calm demeanour, which has been integral in the development and respectful communication between all community committees and council. And to Hamish, you've been inspirational with your knowledge of infrastructure and my constant go-to. To all the staff across management and services, a huge thank you for everything that you do for your community, especially through these recent times. Change is a constant and often becomes an initiator of staff churn. This has been discussed at length at council and remains a priority focus going forward. Unfortunately, for some, creates dissatisfaction, and this flows into the community, making everybody's job harder. Others thrive on a challenge. Be proud of what you do, who you do it for, who you are and where you come from. It all matters. The wave of new legislation coming through for the new triennium will require strong, unifying leadership, open minds, healthy debate, as we've had this morning, acknowledging skill sets not your own and upskilling to those you actually need. Should all be priorities for you all going forward. The world changes and your individual agenda needs to reflect that. More time than ever is needed by councillors to process critical legislations and its implications, and to engage in professional development and implement new skills. Thank you to Francis for your leadership in this space. Some councillors will have to change their focus and role within the governance team, and all councillors need to step up and share in those leadership roles. With the new triennium, you'll be developing the annual plan and starting the next 10-year plan. I've always held the opinion that 10 years is short-sighted when addressing the future of our district. The Manawatu is desperate, the current debt of 88 million as a result of decisions that have been made at this table. Added to that, Manawatu is desperately short of social housing. Costs of livings are ever increasing and the rate burden on many is at capacity. These are but some of the issues that must be addressed. As I look around the table today, don't get offended. As I look around the table today, the average the collective age, I worry that equitable representation across all age groups will struggle. Debts incurred now will impact our children and our grandchildren. I'm proud to have served on the council for these last 6 years. I've chaired the Strategic Planning Committee and the Infrastructure Focus Group. I've had representation on the Ngā Manu Taiko Audit and Risk Committee and Joint Strategic Planning with Palmerston North City Council. I've been the governance rep for health and safety across council. I've served as liaison councillor for Hamatangi, Fielding, Colleton, Pohongana and Huanui. I pushed for councillors to be able to vote via Zoom when I'm unable to attend the multitude of daytime meetings, but that took COVID to actually instigate. I'm proud to have supported the rightful place for tangata whenua at the council table twice. The Maori worldview, Te Ao Māori, acknowledges the interconnectedness and interrelationships of all living and non-living things. For every action, there is a reaction. If land, air and water are healthy, so too are the people. I've been so impressed with the candidates for the new Ngā Tapua'a Maitangi Māori ward, and I applaud Khan and Bridget for stepping forward to be elected. They are making history. Listening to their addresses, I've been deeply moved that they are looking already to the next generations to secure their environment, involving all age groups and embracing the diversity of our cultures within their thinking and planning. I've strived to represent the views of those less visible, to not always please the status quo and to try and ensure the discipline of good governance to achieve the greatest good. I reject politicisation of local government. I worked for the people and not an ideology. I never sought my name on a plaque or a front page story. I'm part of a machine that works towards a greater good. My strengths lie in due process and accountability, networks and educated awareness. Now I can no longer sustain the time demands of my employment in council without compromising myself and the two roles. I look forward to the new council and the direction it will head into the future. To the ratepayers of the Manawatu district, I thank you all for giving me your support. I've learnt a hell of a lot. I've discussed many and varied topics with a huge number of people, and most of all, I've enjoyed each and every one of you. I now finish by confirming I am standing down as an elected member of the Manawatu District Council. No rena, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Well done. Can we check the spelling errors in there? Heather.
Oh, I didn't quite write nearly as much as that, but we were given half an hour, so thankfully Philson took up most of that. Hey, look, you all know who I am, and it doesn't really feel like 3 years ago that I came into this role, but I feel like I've grown a lot in these 3 years, and I think it comes down to Councillor Casey, who initially suggested I run for council and encouraged me through the process of applying and campaigning, and Mum for helping me with my campaign and learning what it was all about and what our council actually did, because I had no idea. And I think, to be fair, it's been a lot more than I expected, and it's involved a lot more of the community than I expected. And so thank you to Councillor Casey for actually encouraging me to stand, and that it was actually something that I could do as a young person. And I think that I've contributed a lot from a young person's perspective, particularly a young rural person's perspective, around this table, and I'm really proud of my efforts there. I definitely am going to miss Carol Clausen ringing me up every 6 months to get a debrief of what's been happening around the table. I'm sure she does that to everyone else too, but since my grandma passed away, I haven't been going into the rest home to see her, so it hasn't been quite as intense as it used to be. I think a huge highlight for me, and it's no secret, would be the Youth Council and the work that I've done there around formalising our young people's voice in this district. And I think that that's really important in going forward. Our use of the Youth Council and planning the future of the district is really important. I think the events that they're running now are of huge calibre to our district, and they're doing exactly what we want them to do, which is giving young people a purpose in this district and giving them something to do, and making Fielding not just the sort of forgotten about brother to Palmerston North, and actually giving us our own things. And so it's not only the events that we've been doing, but also those kids that have been on the Youth Council and where they've gone to and what they're heading into is so cool to see. And the growth that we've had, I mean, Zoe, our chairperson, growing into her role, she was so shy when she came on the Youth Council in her first year, and stepping into the chair now as a confident young person, and having recently been awarded a $28,000 scholarship to the University of Waikato. I think that makes it all worth it when we see the benefit we're adding to these young people's lives outside of their school and providing opportunity. And I think that that's been a really big thing for me, is the opportunity that MDC is creating with the Youth Council. And I really hope that is continued and cherished with the incoming council. In terms of things that I look back on and think we could have done better, I think that there have been some courageous governance decisions that we've missed and we've dropped the ball on, and I don't think it's worth discussing them. But I think that there's been times where we could have picked to go against the grain and we didn't. And for me, that's one thing that I'm have been disheartened about. But I think for me, sometimes it symbolized the importance of courageous governance and actually being brave enough to step out and make the change. Another low light for me would probably, not dwelling on low lights too much, but another low light would be for me would be the Three Waters and the amount of consultation we had with the public. And then it just seemed like such a waste of time that we did all our consultation, and then to have it just sort of landed on us anyway. It was sort of a bit like, oh, I guess I felt bad for the public's sake, not us. And it was out of our control, but it's just such a waste of opportunity that we finally got a huge amount of public engagement, and then we just wasted all the time. Well, it wasn't us, obviously, but so that was really disappointing. In terms of staff, I think that I'm so gutted that Lynn, you came on so late in the piece, because you've been amazing and you're so cool, and I think that the council's lucky to have found someone like you to be going ahead with. I think that's really cool, and I think that you're lucky to have Janine working alongside you as well, and that community space is huge. And I think going forward with the way that Three Waters is looking, your area is just going to keep growing, and I'm so pleased that we've got someone so strong in that area. I think it's very fitting that, hard work, isn't it? I think it's very fitting that you gave us the horse and dogs kind of thing, because that's my daytime job and it's what I really like doing, and I'm so excited to have grown our family farming business. Oh God, and be too busy to be giving my time fully and wholeheartedly to this council. And so yeah, I think it's really fitting that I was presented with that, because it is what I do and what I love doing. So thank you all of you for your for your time and helping me in the beginning of my governance career. And I'm really looking forward to contributing more, particularly in the agricultural governance space. I think that that's something that I have a lot more to give to. And so good luck to all of those standing in the election. And I really hope that we continue things and keep the momentum going for the next 3 years.
Awesome. Well done. Thank you. Thank you to both of you, and all the best for your futures. And as I said before, Saturday will tell us who's going to be round the table for the next council meeting. And for some of us, we may be back, and for some of us, we may not be. So well, let's see how that goes. So with that brings our last meeting for the triennium to a close. Just check I haven't forgotten anything. We've got to the end of the agenda. So yeah, and there may be some comments around the table, people wanting to contribute before we close our meeting. Councillor Campbell.
Oh, you go. Okay. Well, yeah, first of all, I'd like to congratulate the two who are retiring. I think your speeches were wonderful. They're really good to hear, and I wish you all the best for your future. And no doubt we will hear from you in the future when you come to kick us in the shins and poke us in the ribs and point out the error of our ways. But I'd like to take this opportunity to apologise. Yeah, careful. And I'd like to apologise to Phil, to Michael, and to Stuart. A few years ago, I sort of made some comments to the press in regard to the absence from people around this table. And I see Howard's not here, and he was probably the main reason why I made the comments I did at the time. But it was something I've thought about recently, and I think it would not take place now. So I'd like to take this opportunity to apologise to you, Phil, and say I wouldn't do that again. So please, yeah, if you could accept that, Michael and Stuart.
Thank you. So any others of our team? I'm not going to make everybody say something. If you would like to say something, Councillor Campbell.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'd just acknowledge Phil and Heather for their contribution to this council. You've both, contributed in a very important one. Thank you very, very much. Phil, in particular, you mentioned Hamatangi, and I've had the pleasure of being the Hamatangi community rep this term, and following in your footsteps is very clear that the effort you put in prior to me taking on the role put Hamatangi on the map in a lot of ways, and then you mentioned the work that's gone to the community plan, which is, it's all still happening. So you did a great job there, and it was a great start. So thank you very, very much for that. And then also your work on the committee, on the audit risk committee that I've chaired. You've done 2 terms on that, and I've always been well prepared and always contributed really strongly, asked good questions. And so look, I also want to thank you very much for your work on that committee. And Heather, well, number one, I hope to commend you for standing for council at such a young age. It's something I reflect back on. I sort of wish that, I'd been at the table earlier, perhaps not that early, but but just stand for election to a local council at your age is rare and particularly admirable. And you've done a great job of, I guess, representing your age group, which needs to be here. So thank you very much for that. You mentioned about, I hope you've learned, the one thing I've learned since I've been here is strong governance skills. And you do learn a lot of good governance skills here. And I hope you've picked up some of that, and you'll be able to, as you mentioned, take that into other governance roles in the future. And I'm sure we'll see your name and lights somewhere along the way on some board or committee or whatever. You will be able to put that in your CV to great advantage, I think. I think your confidence and your have-a-go attitude is fantastic, and I wish you all the best for the future.
Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Hadfield.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. I think I can't say much more than what Councillor Campbell said, but I remember at the beginning of this triennium, where Heather and myself were the newbies on the block, and I remember the prior to our swearing in, the media coverage that Heather received, front page media coverage that Heather received.
But you've got to get over this, Grant.
which I have to say was quite warranted. And I did point out that I think at the time that I warranted page 5. And that was fine. But Heather and I, right from the beginning, I think, had some, fantastic conversations ourselves. And I really enjoyed that, Heather, the sort of the old and the young of it, if you like, in a way that we were actually able to interact and discuss things that perhaps we were a little bit uncertain about. So I've really enjoyed that, and I actually will miss that. But of course, I'll continue to feed you politically sensitive stuff that you need in your new career in rural governance. Stuart's quite right, like doing that at your age and the way you've approached it is totally admirable. So well done. And I will miss some of that. Philson, well, I can't say much, mate, other than the fact that our family's history goes back so far that it's actually ancient, and our fathers went to school together. I think they were best men for each other. Philson's father worked for my grandfather. My oldest brother, who's always difficult, worked for Philson's father. And I think we've probably been taking the piss out of each other for that long now that it actually just feels like it's normal, Phil, doesn't it? And
I'll need to write a reply just through the chat.
and that's fine. So mate, I will miss that, to be honest, around the table, but no doubt there'll be conversations in the future. So well done.
Great. Councillor Belsky.
Yeah, I take this opportunity to thank them both for their contribution to the governance team, and I can still certainly remember Phil coming from Humatangi and really and truly bringing their issues to us in a matter of factual way that that was, you know, sort of do as I say, and it worked. Phil, you did a great job at representing Humatangi and of course then all the ratepayers. And Heather, I give you full credit for getting in. I was sort of fighting against this rural ward, northern, southern being made as one ward, and how does someone from Rangiwahia get enough votes from down the south to get in, and you certainly proved that if you've got the ability to get out there, it can be done. So first of all, it's huge credit for getting in, and then for your contribution to youth. And but I think Phil said he looked around the table and sort of did an average aging, but I feel we are kept young with our looking at our kids and then our grandkids. So we do take them with us when we come around the table. So I don't think we necessarily don't represent the youth. I think we do, but it's just want to reassure you that we do certainly do think of their issues they've got facing them, and the debt that we don't want to leave them certainly hangs over us. But yeah, a special thanks to Heather and to Phil for their contribution, and it's been a pleasure to work with you all. And thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ford.
Yeah, well done, Phil. Well done, Heather. Great speeches. Thank you for your company for the last 3 years, 6 years. I think it's great the way you've thrown some challenges at us as you leave, particularly around youth, Heather. I think that's really good for us. And one of the ones, Phil, for us to embrace the new Maori ward and everything that comes with that. So thank you for those challenges. I think one of the things I've really respect about everyone around this table, even though we have our differences, is that I believe absolutely everyone is here with a genuine desire to do their best for our community. And I think that applies to all 10 of us, 11 when we had Hillary as well. So, and I think that's, you know, I don't think anyone's here for the power or the glory or the money or whatever. I think it's, we actually are here to do the best for our community. Just a comment around the election. I just want to thank everyone for the way you've all conducted yourselves in this election campaign. I think it's been a really clean campaign, in my opinion. And I think it's, yeah, I think everyone needs to take credit for how that's gone. In my view, I wish everyone all the best for the election, but I particularly wish Heather and Phil all the best for your next stages in your life. And I'll just finish by apologising to Heather for all the faffing around we do.
New term for council.
A new term, yes, it's
Yeah,
a new word.
learned that one from Heather. So.
Yeah. Excellent.
Too much faffing around.
Right, Councillor Shaw.
Thank you. I wasn't actually going to say anything, but now I feel I'm about the only one that hasn't, so I had. So, yes, it was. I'd firstly also like to thank Heather and Phil for the time that they've given this organisation, but also their community. And you know, if the community had half any idea of what's required of the job, and especially the, you know, really you're a reader more than anything, aren't you, with the amount of paperwork that we get, which I might add is really increased over the years. It never used to be as much as what we have today. And I'd also just like to wish everyone else well for the election. You know, you two are going by choice. Some of us might not be here next week. So, you know, let the people decide. But it certainly, I think this last term has been the most challenging term that I've served. And it's actually been by what's come at us from central government. It's like been like an asteroid, really, this term, you know, a single party government and all the reform that they're trying to get through has made life around here really challenging and you know, really questioning whether Wellington really knows what it's like out in the region. So and I suspect next term could be equally as challenging. For the first few, we'll see what happens with the general election. But it will be, if there's one thing that's guaranteed, it will be interesting times. It will still continue to see a lot of change, I think. So just best wishes to everybody.
Thank you. So, so with that, yes, best wishes for Saturday for those seeking re-election, and again, thank you to Heather and Phil. And so with that, I will declare our meeting closed. Thank you. So we'll just take a couple of minutes and then we'll move into our workshop.